lots of fun. There was a nun there who had been watching this, and she came over and she said, oh no, you can't play. Nobody else is allowed to come and play, so you guys can't come and play. Well, that was a lie, because the teacher wanted kids to play with his kids. I mean, there's no other kids around there except the kids in residential school. So I know he liked us being there. We never got told to go. We were fine. I could never figure that one out. You know, here's a 5-year-old brain or a 6-year-old trying to, like, I knew these kids liked me, but here's this adult telling me that they didn't like me. So she said, you know, you're not allowed to play with them anymore. Nobody else can, so you're not allowed to. So we did what we could to stay away. Well, one day we went out and we saw the kids outside. They called us, they said, come and play. Okay, so we went to play with them. And we were having one heck of a good time, right? Well, all of a sudden I look up and here's the nun marching over to us, madder than hell, you know. And I'm like, oh boy, we're in trouble. And we were. She made us go inside, and back then, I don't know if they still have them now, but there was like a wooden, it was about this thick, I guess. It was like a ball on a string. And
oh, like, I know what you're talking about. You go like this and they go, right?
Yeah, or it had one ball, but it was a wooden paddle, similar to a ping pong paddle.
So like one of those.
Yeah, those things. Okay, you know, like they're similar to a ping pong. Well, that's what we had in there, and so she made us line up. She made me and my sister stand up, and she's like, okay, one of you is going to get a strapping for this. And we were going to get spanked because we were playing with these kids. So, of course, the first thing that got put in my mind was, well, you can't play with white people because you're going to get in trouble. It's not that I didn't like them. It's not that I had.
What was drilled into your head?
If I play, I'm going to get strapped. So racism was put into our heads, and we had no idea what it was. All I knew was if I played with a white kid, I was going to get in trouble. You know, so stay away from the white kids. Here's the white kids probably thinking, well, why aren't any of these kids playing with me? They must not like me. And that wasn't even the case. It was nuns who go to church every Sunday and, you know, ask for forgiveness, who are telling us we couldn't be friends with these kids. So she spanked my sister, or she asked us which one wanted to take the spanking. But my sister she was younger than me, so I said, I will. So I stood there, and the other thing we never did was cry. We were like, nope, you could beat the bark right off of us, and very seldom would you find a kid cry, because it was just the way it was, right? So I stood there, and I held my hands out, and she wound up, and she hit. And it hurt. Nope, I'm not going to cry. Maybe do it again, so I held my hand up. She wound up again, and I'm looking, and I'm like, am I going to hold my hand here? Am I going to pull my hand? What am I going to do? And I knew if I pulled my hand, all hell would break loose, right? So I stood there, and she wound up, and she came down with another one, and I pulled my hand away. So she ended up missing, and she hit her leg. And, of course, I was pretty happy I got one over on her. She kicked us out, and I thought, cool, we got away with that one, right? I saved my sister, I saved myself, cool, we're going to be okay. I was in the Christmas play, and this very same nun, and I say this to this day, that nun set me up to be sexually abused in Orpos because of that. And I truly believe that's what she did. She took me down to the gymnasium, and I had to try on the Christmas costume. We just had a rehearsal before that, and she made me stay there and put on. She told me to get undressed and try on my costume. I told her, I said, but I already did. I couldn't figure out why she was. But she was the nun, she was the supervisor, and so I did what I was supposed to do. She walked out of the room, I had no costume, and I was undressed. And after she walked out, a man walked in and things happened and he left, she came back. And I remember I'm 5 years old. 5-year-old little kid. And I had no idea what the hell just happened to me. And I went to her and I told her, I said, something happened. This man did something. All she said was, go to your room and go to bed. I went to my room and I went to bed. And there was nobody. There was nobody to come and say, are you okay? There was nobody to come and ask me if I needed anything. There was nobody. From 5 years old on, in my life until recently, I have always felt there's nobody. When you go through, when I've gone through things, a lot of times I go through them by myself. I very seldom ask for help. It's changing. It's changing. It's taken a long, long time, but it's slowly changing. I can't say, it's going to get all better, but it's very, very difficult for me to ask for help, to ask for anything. Because that one situation when I needed it, there was nobody there. And that's my story. That's one story that I went through in residential school. How many kids went to residential school, went through that very same thing? Didn't come out it as, the way I did. I had my dad, I just give my dad credit. And then we grow up and we have kids. We don't know how to be a parent. Nobody was our parent. Like the story I just told you. If we were at home, that would never have happened. If it did happen, my mother would have been there to make sure I was okay. She would have been there to help me through this. Not because I went through it by myself.
This is the outcome of it?
This is the outcome. And this is the outcome for a lot of people. For a lot of people, we don't know how to be parents. The ones of us who get through, we're pretty darn lucky. Because if you have no one, and I'm sure you can relate to this, if you have no one to teach you love, if you have no one to hug you, or tell you they love you, or tell you you're important, or if you need something, be there to give it to you, how do you grow up and pass that stuff on to your child? You don't know how to do it. How do you do it, right? That's what a lot of us grew up with. Our most important years are those years 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In that time is when we're with our families, with our extended families, with our grandparents, with our aunts, our uncles, our siblings. We're a family unit together, learning from each other, trusting each other, sharing our experiences with each other. That's what a family is all about. But you take that kid out of there, put him in a foreign place and say, okay, well, I hope you do good there. Try your best. Nobody's going to teach you. All you're going to hear is yelling, how no good you are. Or don't play with those kids because you're not supposed to. Eat, slop. Go to bed, but sleep with one eye open because someone might come and take you out in the middle of the night to abuse you. Don't drink too much water because if you pee the bed, you're going to be made fun of. Don't ever want for anything because you're not going to get it. So, we come back and we have kids of our own. What do we teach them? What we learn, which wasn't always the best, right? Then our kids have kids. And what's interesting is when our kids have kids, there's a connection between the kids and the grandparent. That's not there between the child and the parent. I don't know the answer to that
I
one,
don't know
but
either, but I see it.
Yeah.
See
And it
a
is
lot.
there. Yeah. So you know what I'm talking.
Thank you so much, Jordan, for telling me your story about residential school. I really, really do appreciate it.
we got out of res school, after we got out of there, like, my dad and my mom, like, we did a lot of, I can't really say I'm traditionally knowledged, you know, like, I mean, I can sew, I can do certain things. But after we got out of there, we kind of did a lot of, like, we went hunting, we went fishing, we really kept our family together. And again, my parents were really, really good at that. It was, you know, of course we could have all been separated and gone every which way. And we had our trials, you know, we had our troubles, but in the end, it was really our parents who really showed us that life could be good. You know, you didn't have to dwell on the residential school stuff. The effects are still there. I don't think you can just, like what I did, I just took my residential school experience and said, okay, I'm going to put it over here and I'm going to leave it there and I'm going to lock the door and it's never going to bother me again, right? Wow, now I'm finding out that there's a lot of stuff from residential school that have affected me. But not to the point where it devastates me anymore. Not to the point where, you know, for many years I felt inferior to people. I thought, you know, like, oh no, in res school we were the ones who were bad and these people were the ones who were good. That's not the case at all. That's not even close to being the case. We're all equal. We're all equal. We're all just different color. You know, doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. It just means God decided that we should be different colors. That was one of the hardest things for me to come to terms with, because it was always First Nations people that I would see getting, and you can edit this, but the shitty end of the stick. Being stereotyped. You know, like I remember one time getting into a cab, and the cab driver started driving towards the old village down in, when it was way down in the industrial area.
Because he assumed that's where you.
And I said, well, where are you going? Oh, well, I'm going to the village. I said, well, why are you going down there? Well, isn't that where we're going? I said, no. No, actually, I'm not. I said, so now you can shut your meter off and we'll go back where I started from and we'll go to where I'm going to. Because I'm not paying the extra. Kind of looked at me and I went, sorry, you know, but
You messed up, not me.
But that is the attitude. You don't speak up. You don't say nothing. Well, now it's like, no, I got a mouth for a reason. It's like, you got a mouth for a reason. I got brains